nobody's on. Just recording it for later. So, how are you guys? Thanks for your patience. Nobody said you're doing good or said anything. That's weird. I need to get everybody's names because I don't know all you guys. I know you sit at the front desk and I've seen some of you at team meeting.
I was just filling in for Amanda last
Oh,
night.
nice. Okay.
And you called this week just on Wednesday, but it's not
Nice.
something out there.
And what's something fun or interesting about you?
Interesting. Well, it looks like I have 6 things to do every day with my children this week. That's fun. So, including games that start at like 9 p.m. So I'm really busy.
Crazy.
My husband's out of town and I'm like a significant.
What kind of games?
Well,
That's fun.
and there's tennis matches this week and figure skating and roller could have been anywhere.
So they're not high school games. High school season just ended last week.
And
Oh, nice.
this is his last game.
At 9 p.m. Awesome. Cool. Nice to meet you, Kara. So with a O-L-E or H-O-L-E? Me neither. But I knew you were an O-L-E or C-O-L-E.
Yeah. I haven't really done any like transactions or anything. I just got my license like a month and a half ago.
Oh.
Very new.
Have you been here the whole time then? You came straight in?
Yeah.
Did you do scholarship program? No.
Up in Alton, and then they had me wait. I was gonna onboard up there, but then when they realized that I was moving, they told me to wait until I was down here to onboard. So there was like a month of kind of like
Just waiting.
period of like where I and then the thing interesting is that I work for Delta Airlines.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So you do real estate or you do airlines? I'm just kidding. You can do both.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
it's fun to say, but since I'm just starting off, one, I have no idea what I'm doing. And like I don't feel comfortable just leaving a steady income for something that like I don't know how it's gonna go yet. So eventually, like once I get my business off and if I do good and feel comfortable enough, I feel like I'd be okay with being stuff. But eventually, or just right now, it's good.
That's great. I did the same thing. I think that's smart. Cool. Nice to meet you, Nicole. And you are?
Comics. I'm in school and I got my license. Let's go. Starting. And I make it sourdough.
Nice. That's fun. Man, and who doesn't love sourdough? It's fantastic. And sorry, how long have you had your license?
Like
Cool.
started.
Nice. I love it. You guys are in the right place.
I got my license back in, I put it in active, because I wanted to contract to work that summer, in school.
You're contracted for what? Sorry.
I would put it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Summer approaching, get my opinion of things, so I can jump right into it as the school ends.
Nice. Is it active now or just learning?
Still inactive, but I talked to Ken when he said, yeah.
Sweet. Good for you. And it's Adrian. Mr. Coin Collector, John.
That's applying for it. It's a mess because I already had a license before that I let lapse, so I didn't know if I should be doing new or anything like that. But I'm a certified real estate appraiser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certified general, but I've done a whole bunch of commercial work. And I would be a huge asset if ever you have anyone at Keller Williams that if something under contract and the appraisal comes in low, you can bring it to me. And that's enjoyable for me to look at. It doesn't take me long to see if it's credible or not. But I got 3 siblings that are brokers, a sister that's an agent, and they've done it to me. And we've gotten appraisers that generally never change their value for me. And I, like I look at it and I just tell them everything that they're wrong. I just had to get rid of PMI on my house. I hired somebody and they did a BPO because it was only 150 instead of 450.
Hang on to that thought. Everybody know what a PMI is? BPO? He's throwing out some slang or some real estate terms.
How it stands for, but it's like an interest on your house.
Yeah, your mortgage insurance.
It protects the lender. PMIs.
Yep.
Pay it, pay it. So I'm trying to get rid of my PMI. And the broker price opinion came in what I thought was 100,000 low. And I turned them in, because in Utah, you can turn them in. But I also went to my lender. I mean, what are the odds? Yeah, I went to my lender and I just gave them my spiel. And I showed them everything and it took about 3 weeks and the lender dropped the mortgage insurance. And
Nice.
I didn't hire an appraiser because I am an appraiser. I just gave them my pitch and it's dropped. And then now I'm hoping to have them drop, or like if the state gives her the slightest bit of disciplinary action, I'm just gonna take her to small claims court for the small amount that I lost. Because I enjoy the learning process of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And I think you've got some extra tools that a lot of agents
So I want to
wouldn't have.
focus on commercial. I am certified general.
Cool.
State appraisal, but I got all my siblings are on residential. Okay.
So you're gonna do commercial only, or you said focus, so I assume you're doing both.
I'd like to be commercial only eventually, but right now I need to figure out the whole system.
Where you can get deals. Yeah. Cool. Let me see if I got them. John, Kira, Nicole, Adrian, and Alex, right? Think everybody's right? Okay. And I'm Kammon. It was nice to meet you guys. And I'll give you just a tiny bit of background. I won't waste a ton of your time telling you all about me, but so you have an idea who I am. I was full-time at Highway Patrol. Gosh, I was working for a consulting company before that, and then I decided to jump in. I had applied at FBI and Secret Service, some other stuff, and thought those would be fun, cool jobs. And then while I was waiting, I jumped in and hired on with Highway Patrol. All of them are such a process. And then I went to face, oh, go ahead. Sure.
The other guy's Cameron also, right?
Cameron, and I'm Kammon, like Ammon with a K.
Cameron, but they-
Yeah, no R. Yep. So I jumped in with Highway Patrol, and then I started out at $16.95 an hour, and I was a college graduate, I don't know, got speak Spanish and was a phlebotomist, had all these different little accreditations or whatever, and made the exact same as everybody else, right? Didn't matter if you're a high school graduate or if you're a college graduate, and so I was bummed about that. But then after year one, I saw that you could get awards, and I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to do that. So I jumped in and got most of this, and this, and won 4 awards the next year. And then the next year, I was Trooper of the Year and got just all these slew of awards because I'd rather work than go sit at the gas station and sip on drinks like some of the guys were doing. And no knock on them. It gets busy and they do a ton of work. And so anyway, I got to be busy. I'm high ADHD, and so I'd rather be doing something. Anyway, so I think the last couple of years, my wife was like, every day you have off, you're working overtime. Is there something you think you could do from home? And so I was doing construction shifts as my overtime over by NSA. And anyway, oh no, actually they were on the freeway. Anyway, I just started doing all the classes online and did all the classes and got my license during all these overtime shifts, and was busy doing that, and then started doing real estate. In the first year, I made, more than I was at my full-time gig. I thought, oh, that's awesome. I can take my wife on a vacation. We can do something. And then the next year was even a little bit better. And then third year, I should have already been ready to leave, right? But I was just kind of like, oh man, I don't want to give up, benefits and my full-time job and all that. And so, but that last year I had shoulder surgery, which in the end ended up being this huge blessing, because then I was forced to make a decision. And I'd done one real estate deal up until that point, and it was like May. And so I was nervous. I was like, oh shoot. But as soon as I had surgery, I started making calls and just was like I said, I can't be just laying around. So I got busy with real estate stuff. And I think I did 17 more deals. After I left Highway, they kind of gave me an ultimatum, and I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And they were like, well, you got to decide if they wanted me to go up to the airport and not to the airport, an office up there at SBI, drive my own car. We need you back. And I was like, well, I'm not ready. They're like, well, you got to make a decision. So I made a decision to leave. And I was glad I did a whole bunch of deals the rest of the year, that second half of the year. And then it's been really good since. It's been the right move for our family. So I'm curious, anybody have a real big why that you're doing real estate? Something that really made you jump into it? Any big reason? Assume it's to make money.
I think my rationale, really came out really well. That's all real estate appraisal. And I go over and I do an appraisal on a Hispanic guy that's a carpenter on his home. And, I'm guessing that he made about 80,000 a year. And as I was there, he was just bragging about his home and how he's just living a life and how life is great for him. And I felt good for him. And I just sat there thinking, you're middle class, you know, you're right there. You know, I appraise the most, you know, $10 million homes out there. And you're bragging about your $500,000 home and how you're living the life. And I was like, you don't realize that there's so much better. You could just go after it. And as I was thinking that, and I was saying that to other people, I thought, you know, is that me? Is that me saying, well, hey, I'm living the life making, you know, double what he's making when you got commercial real estate brokers out there making $500,000 a year, making a lot more. And that's what made me think, you know, I can either jump where the grass is, or, you know, try to go after where the grass is greener, or be content with what I have. And it was just one of those epiphanies that it's better to try and fail than to not try.
It's awesome. That's a really cool example too. And did you feel like you had a ceiling as a real estate appraisal? Was there a number limit to how many appraisals you could do in a day?
There was, well, I had guys working for me. And
So you started expanding and have a little bit of a team and
things were really busy. I did 80 appraisals in 1 month. And I was in Colorado, so I was getting paid a lot. And I always thought like there wasn't a ceiling because I was like, if it just gets busier, I'll hire more people. But that wasn't true because when you hire more people, it's just tons of work on you. It's just, you're training them all the time.
I'm realizing that nobody's hearing anything on Zoom for the recording, so it's all good stuff, but we'll have that microphone for when we have comments or answer questions and we can pass it around. For today, we've got 4 objectives. We're gonna be, I think the next 4 classes you guys are gonna be focusing on being the real estate expert. We call it the ELLT, expert, lead generation, lead follow-up, and transaction. And it is the first 4. So this is kind of how it's going to be broken down. Your first 4 classes are here in being the real estate expert of choice. And then that's what's going to come after. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. So the whole purpose of today is to help you guys think successfully and have a new way of thinking. When you jump into KW, we have systems and processes, and that is the way to do it. We'll talk about moving from E to P and what that means. We'll talk about our culture, our resources, the value here, your career vision, and we'll go over some success systems, and then we'll kind of recap. And I'm planning on being done at least by 10:45. That gives us. Now, anybody read this quote for me? Go ahead.
We do it.
So it's a quote from Gary Keller. What do you think it means? Yeah, I like that quote. Yep.
But not everyone is going to put in the effort to distribute it.
Yeah, so anyone can, not everyone's going to put in the effort. Love it. Yep, makes sense. I agree with both of you guys. So if I could show you something that maybe already be on the screen in front of you, that would be probably the most important things you could learn today. This is what it would be, the 6 personal perspectives. This will help bring more success than probably anything else that we'll talk about in class. And the first one, if you guys can somebody grab that mic and just read through those? And we'll just have the mic just so for Zoom. So if you guys want to scoot closer, you can, so we can pass around the mic, or you can carry it to each other, however you want to do it. I know you're charging a computer, get it. But it may make it easier to pass around the mic if you're able to.
One.
Yeah, just read through them. Well, I like your voice. And I'm going to get out my cheat notes because I've never taught this little class.
I'm scared. Yes, please, thank you.
Commit to self-mastery, commit to the 80-20 principle, move from E to P, make being learning based the foundation of your action plan, remove your limiting beliefs and be accountable.
Cool. So in order to commit to self-mastery, I'll need someone else to read. There are 3 things that you must do.
You must know your goals, know your strengths and weaknesses, know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals.
Are you guys committed to self-mastery? Feel like you are? So if you are, we're going to need to set goals. You'll need to be accountable for them, right? You need to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you'll have to work with both of them. All right, anybody know actually, let's go right back. Any other thoughts on self-mastery? Which may be the most important one. We'll come back to it. What does the 80-20 mean? When you can just read it or yell it out. We're going to have lots of active participation because I hate just standing up here talking the whole time.
20% of your actions leads to 80% of your results.
Yep. You guys think that's true? Because if not, if we go over anything and you're concerned about it or have questions, like we may as well bring it up and discuss it so that we're all on the same page. And moving from E to P, who's got that for me?
Not sure what you want me to read. The entrepreneurial approach. The entrepreneurial approach.
Yeah, actually, you don't have to read it. You're right. What do you think this represents? Can you see that far away? I have to have glasses
Yeah,
to see
I
it far
can
away.
see it.
That's your
I'm
natural ceiling of
interpreting it,
achievement,
yeah.
right? You're going up and you're bumping the ceiling, you're coming down. This is what entrepreneurs do. Somebody that works and takes a business takes the bull by the horns and they just do it all themselves. Maybe they don't have a system, but they go and they just work. And they kind of end up hitting the ceiling, bumping down. The purposeful approach is when they have obviously focus, but then they have models, systems, and then they're able to break through that ceiling. One of the ways as an appraiser, you said you kind of did it, was you had people that ended up working for you, right? You were probably doing better than a lot of appraisers that run in and do it all themselves. And as many appraisals as they can do in a day or a week, you're going to have a ceiling, kind of a natural ceiling, which is as much energy as you can put out. I mean, that's it, right? Make learning base be the foundation of your plan. Does anybody know who, goodness, I can't think of his name right now. He's a sports psychologist that was with the Cleveland Cavaliers and he was with a couple other NBA teams. Anyway, he was down at BYU and they called him over to help these teams out. Well, both of the teams that he came in and worked with won the NBA championship, both teams. And he was incredible. I could see him live over with Edge Holmes. They invited us to something and he talked about stress and he talked about all these different things that affect us. And the one thing that kind of alleviated stress, which leads to gray brain matter, which leads to being reactive instead of proactive, and also led to the temperament of being like more angry and aggressiveness. All that stuff was like a certain part of the brain. There's amygdala and the hippocampus. Anyway, and that part of the brain that did all that stuff, the way that you got through it was through learning. He said, because the opposite of fear, oh, and it was all based on fear. Fear creates all the aggression and this great brain matter and all these different this reactive state. So instead of being reactive in real estate, we're proactive and we're always learning based, which I thought was so cool to look through this plan and realize that was exactly in line with what this doctor said. And he said, anytime you're stuck and you're in a state of fear, you're worried about what you're going to do, learn something, go in and figure, keep learning. If you're constantly learning, you're overcoming fear, because anything that's fearful is just the next problem and there's a solution to it. So if you go in always learning based, then you'll be able to break through. If you have a learning based foundation, that is, we'll always be able to get more enlightenment and be able to break through ceilings. So anyway, and then I will find his name before the end of class. Fourth perspective is an obvious one, and you're already doing it being here today. That was, oh nope, that was the last one. Here's a quote from Albert Einstein, who was undoubtedly a learning-based individual. Somebody read it for me.
Commit to can. That would.
What's that? Oh, nope, sorry.
That doesn't sound like Albert Einstein.
Oh my gosh, I am not in line with what I'm looking at here. Holy cow, thank you. Yeah, this is not the same as the slides I have here. All right. Constant, never-ending improvement. I guess we are not going to go by this. Oh, now I'm caught up. For some reason, the slides are different on mine than they are yours. So this is a fifth perspective, to remove your limiting beliefs. Can somebody tell me what a limiting belief is? Yeah, and what's a limiting belief you have? Would you mind sharing?
Limit myself with like how much money. Oh, I limit myself with like how much money I could make.
Okay.
Like people are like, oh, I can make 100,000, and I'm like, I don't know if I could reach that. So I kind of limit myself with, I guess, reaching higher goals. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. And you had something, Kara? What's a limiting belief for
They
you?
tell us to make lots of phone calls, but my limiting belief is that if I'm going to call somebody, they think someone's dead because I don't ever call anybody and it's not my way of communication. So I limit myself. that
Gotcha.
way.
And what do you think the purpose of those phone calls is?
Well, I know it's to like develop better relationships with people. I would say there's probably like 8 people that I can call, and that's our way of communication, and it wouldn't be weird. But and I have a big SOA
Mm-hmm.
base. But even though I do, some of those really good friends, if I were to call them, they'd be like, what is wrong?
So,
Or they know that I'm trying to sell something. So my limiting is like, I don't know how to break through and be like, we're gonna have conversations now.
so your fear is that if you call somebody, they're going to either think something's wrong or that you're trying to sell something, one of those two things,
And then it
Right.
wouldn't seem genuine.
and then it wouldn't seem genuine.
Mhm.
Got it. So let me ask you this. Do you think that everything that you're taught in KW, that there's a very specific and only way to do things, and that one size fits all, no matter what?
No, I don't. I actually like that. So I've been through almost all of the ignites. This is the week that I
Had missed?
haven't started yet.
Okay.
So I'm actually missing this week, but now I'm here. What I do appreciate about all the Ignite teachers is there is definitely not a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people don't like to do leads and they are very successful. And some people say absolutely do not do Zillow or do not buy leads on Zillow. And some people say I actually did really well from leads on Zillow. Most people that have taught have said do not do Zillow leads. But everybody has found their particular niche of what works for them. But Keller Williams, when I was watching some of the seminars, for when they went to family reunion, I don't know the leader's name, the one with the gray hair.
Jay Papasan, Gary Keller.
Maybe it's
I
Gabriel
don't know.
Keller, the skinnier one. Anyway, he's just kind of like, if you don't do lead, you're just not going to be successful. And to me, that meant if you're not going to call people, you're not going to be successful. So do it, because he has a method for how he has been successful and has implemented it into everybody. And a lot of people here are very successful because of it. But also everybody has done what has worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
And my rule for myself starting real estate was I'm going to do it their way and see how it goes. And then I'll figure out if it works for me. But it's been hard for me to get over the hump of their way is calling.
Cool. So you've got a challenge. You're thinking that, gosh, people are going to think I'm selling something, they're going to think somebody's dead. I just don't make calls that often. What are some ways that you could make a call if that's what you intend to do? Or is there another way to start communication?
There are scripts that I've looked at that I think are very helpful. One of them that I did use was I called my friend in Holbrook Farms and I said, hey, I had a buyer that's actually interested in your area. What are you thinking? What do you think it's like? And then we got into conversations that way. And that was really helpful. So I did do what they said there.
Good for you.
Have I done it with everyone else? No. But I have contacted 50% of my business, but in
So
different
you've made
ways.
lots of calls?
No.
Oh, but you've contacted them. Text,
emails,
email. I love
lots
it.
of ways of talk and some calls and meetings, lots of lunches, lots of going to lunch. But calls, they're difficult for me. So that's
Gotcha. And what's better than calls?
meeting.
And you're doing those?
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. That's
I can
better.
put on 10.
So that's actually a step up for making calls face to face,
Yeah.
personal interaction, way better than just making phone calls. And most people, when you say answer a text or see a text before they listen to a voicemail, and sometimes even before they answer a call, I don't want to say anything contrary to what, they're trying to teach at Ignite. Obviously, calls are important. The first level, the best level of contact is personal contact, and that's face-to-face interaction. You can see my emotions. I can read yours. We can have a real connection. And calls are second because you can still at least hear the voice. And you're trying to connect through the one that isn't very great is emails, right? And one of the reasons they say calls and personal interactions to start with is because we don't want to start out with spamming or having people think, oh, yes, he cares in real estate now. She's just sending me, these emails. She may be busy, doesn't have time for me, whatever. So that's why we don't normally start with those. It's okay to jump in and try to do it all at once to set them up for things. I normally like to have a conversation first or text them or whatever. Have you ever done a client event? Sorry, I don't want to get too far off track. I know we're getting a little bit off track, but I want to talk about it because it's a common concern. So I do client events and the office does them just if you don't have money to spend on an event, like I'll do a movie theater event. We're going to do Keller Splash, which is at Splash Summit, right? And that one's a cool one. It's $5 for people to get in, and we usually pay that as agents. If you didn't have the money to pay for a whole family, you can say, hey, I have discount tickets to this event. And your clients would have no idea that other agents are paying for their clients. So if you wanted to invite people and maybe you didn't have the resources right away because you haven't been doing real estate very long, maybe you haven't had many closings, you could still get the word out and invite people and let them know, what the cost is going to be. And then, or some that maybe you've given you referrals or actually been clients already, you could pay for their tickets. But anyway, that's a great event. I'm renting a pool in Lehigh for $400 or $450, and it'll allow me to invite up to like 300 or 400 people. So for me, the way I like to call and actually reach out to people, and sometimes I only do it via text, and I'll text them and invite them, let them know, hey, just reaching out, hoping you're able to make it to my client appreciation event, or I'll call them, small talk, how are you, and hey, I was calling to invite you to this event. Would you feel like that's providing value? Right? And is it easier to make phone calls when we provide value? Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
One thing I did do, Dean put in his weekly email to get in touch with realtors, and then you can get those free passes with your SR code, or is it QR code, but SR code for the
QR.
home and garden show.
Mhm.
And I sent that to a ton of people.
I love it.
And that was really helpful too.
How much did it cost you?
Free.
So that one was free.
Yeah, you get in touch
awesome.
with, I think it's Christian or something. And you just email and you say, hey, I'm with this. And he just gave me one with my card, my picture on it from my business card. And that was really helpful.
Cool. That's awesome.
So I guess it's an event or something. I don't know. But people will go to that.
And one last thought or question. Do you feel like anybody that you do call, do you think that that's you thinking, oh, they're going to think somebody has died truly, or that she's selling me something? Or do you think there may be some that are going to be like, holy crap, it's Kara. We haven't talked for a long, they hurry and answer the phone because they're excited to talk to you and say hi.
Well, that's a interesting question because I always feel like I'm a burden on people, but truly when people call me, I'm actually always excited to talk to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So like you're always your worst critic.
I am too. And that's why we call them limiting beliefs. You're limiting yourself, and that's your own belief. And we can tell ourselves all kinds of stories. Oh, I'm burdening them. Oh, they're going to think somebody died. Oh, they're going to, we tell ourselves all these stories. And truth be told, people probably love to talk to you, especially people that haven't talked to you for a while. And if you don't call right away and try to sell them on real estate, which you're not going to do because you genuinely care about them and you want to get to know, you want to create that connection, and maybe a call or two down the road. And for me, it always naturally comes into the conversation. I don't bring it up. I'm not going to call them and tell them, hey, I'm doing real estate or whatever. Most people know that by now. But if I call and say hi and hey, how are you doing? How's the family? It's just been a while since I talked to you. Or, hey, what's up? If they're surprised I'm calling, it's just been a while. I hope you're doing well. I followed some of your posts. Looks like your kids are doing this or whatever, and we chat. And then inevitably, when I ask them, how's your work doing? How's business? How's your wife? They end up, really good. This is what's happening. And well, how's stuff going for you? I see you're selling houses. Yeah, actually I am. And then we ended up inevitably talking about real estate. But I allow it to come in, kind of naturally. And if it's somebody I haven't talked to, then I've got some kind of value proposition and invite them to an event. It makes it easier for me, at least. So, sorry, I know we got hung up on this. I'm going to skip forward. Thank you, Kara, for your thoughts on that. All right. This shows the difference between what's not reality and what's reality. This is part of unlimited thinking and limiting beliefs. And I'll read some of these since they're so small. So if we don't seek reality, we're not really asking questions. We just think in our mind, they're not going to be excited to talk to me. They're probably working. I'm going to intrude on their day. And if we have this unlimited thinking, we seek reality, like what's really the situation? We want to know, like, okay, yeah, they're probably going to be, they could be busy. I don't know, but I'm at least going to reach out, let them know I care about them. I'll chat with them or whatever it's for. They often fight reality, people with limiting beliefs. That's not the way it is. It's not how I see it. That's your perception. And then when you acknowledge reality, this is the way it is. Got it. I see what's going on. You have clarity. So those other people often blame and they project things, their fears onto other people. And then people that have this other way of thinking, we have energy and focus and we own it. If it's to be, it's up to me. Did you say that? No, it was a different quote. You take on your accountability and responsibility. These guys find excuses, they find solutions, they deflect and they see possibilities, right? Always learning based and waits and hopes, very reactive, right? And these guys are proactive. We have an action plan. Let's get started. It's time to go. They're always moving. What do you guys think about this quote? Happiness is not an individual sport. And I'm going to look back and see what the notes say on it because I have my own thought. Do you agree or not? Do you think everybody succeeds alone or no one succeeds alone is another way to put it? I'll tell you what Gary Keller says if you're stumped. I was actually kind of stumped. I thought, I don't really get this. So Gary Keller is quoted as has said, "No one succeeds alone," and this comes from Sean. He pioneered the research reveals happy humans are more productive, creative, better problem solving, and even healthier and less stressed. Anyway, any thoughts on any of the stuff we've gone over? Okay, we'll keep cruising. Okay, a little bit about KW culture. We have several different organizations within KW, and diversity and equity. Red Day is one day. Red Day is one day a year. Anybody done that yet? Ever been a part of it? Fun day. Like everybody in Keller Williams, like worldwide, gives their time. They leave the office, go out for a morning or an afternoon, and they just devote and donate their time to a cause. And we've done all kinds of things. We've done food banks to building parks to all kinds of stuff, and it's been really fun. One of them, we even did smoke detectors in homes that didn't have them as a safety protocol for people. So we just find where there's a need in the community. It's usually from somebody like you. You find a need in the community, you bring it up to the committee, our Red Day committee, which is also KW Cares. Anybody know what KW Cares is? No, no idea. So KW Cares is a way that you can donate as an agent. I automatically have money come out of every transaction, and we suggest $30. And of course, it's not anything that you would pay unless you make money on a deal. And if you're making, I don't know, say an average deal of $14,000 or something, we suggest you give 30 to KW Cares. So this actually goes towards agents in our office. There are two funds that we have. One goes to nationwide, like the people that were hurt in the hurricanes in North Carolina, and we've had people, agents that lost their homes in the fires in California. And Keller Williams, as a group, we collectively donate money to those. And we have a fund just for agents here. And that fund will go to anybody that's maybe going through it. We had an agent that I want to say her husband died of cancer. There've been several different situations like that, and KW Cares has stepped in and given money when needed so that they could take care of family. There's a wealth building club. There's KW Kids, KW Wellness, and Red Relief is when we take. They even have a separate fund for that to take big trucks and things out to some of these disaster areas. So anyway. Have you guys felt anything about the culture since you've been here? What made you choose KW? Mhm.
I would just really like the energy, and kind of what like KW brought to the table, like in the 10 minute, like we call it speed dating, you're at each table for like 10 minutes. Um, I just got a really comfortable, like warm feeling from them. Whereas like other tables, I kind of felt like they they didn't care about you. They just wanted you to come on to like kind of earn the money. Whereas like when I was with you, I felt like they actually cared. They actually wanted you to teach me. They wanted me to learn. Like it just, yeah, that's the culture I got from them. Is it just comfortable and welcoming?
That's awesome. And I think that's really the way it is. I think that's the culture here in general. I was shocked. I was at a different brokerage that was very kind of secretive with things. And I was fairly new, I was still working part-time at Highway Patrol. And then I finally left that year that I had shoulder surgery. I left and was like, okay, I got to do this. And so I wanted to hang around the top guy. And it was always like, oh, yeah, yeah, glad you're doing well. And don't look at any of my stuff. I don't want you taking my business. And I thought, wow, that seems so like such a limited, small way of thinking. I felt like there's got to be enough business out there for everybody. Like that just didn't make sense to me. It bothered me. And so when somebody invited me to come to KW, I also don't like change. I'm pretty loyal where I am, and I was pretty loyal to my broker. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll meet this guy for lunch. I went out on a listing, and he was their next door neighbor and like best friends with them. But I got the listing, and so he talked to them and was like, hey, can you give me his number? I want to talk to him. And I thought, okay, what does he, what does he want? But he basically wanted to say, hey, good job. And we need guys like you over at KW. And so I was pretty hesitant, but went to family reunion. I took a couple months to come over, but I went to family reunion and did all the training, got to be around the culture and was like, holy cow, they're sharing like everything. Like they literally got Brad Morgan that'll get up and give you his whole spreadsheet of years of development that it's taken him to develop, and he'll email you a copy of it. You got I don't know, yeah, all these different people that were just top agents. I couldn't figure out like why all these top agents were all kind of flocking to Keller Williams. So when I got over here, it made a lot of sense, and that's why I came to. I love the culture. I love being part of something like this. And my brother benefited from kind of a whole, it wasn't, I don't know that it was necessarily KW Cares, but he was an addict, got addicted to, and sorry, personal story. He doesn't mind that I share, he's pretty open with it. Got addicted to his prescription drug and anyway, lost his wife and family and kids for a minute and had to go to rehab. And so he came and went, and after it was all said and done, he was kind of a changed man and had been a year or two, and he was the CFO later for this company and started just doing great things. And his daughter wanted to come live with him. He hadn't been able to afford a place, and all of a sudden we checked and he could qualify. He was just missing some of the down payment. So he came and people were so generous. Of course, I donated commission, and then I had so many other agents that donated as part of this KW Cares kind of movement to help him get into a place. So my brother was able to get into his house, help his daughter and get her back. And anyway, it's just an incredible kind of personal thing for me. So we're gonna go to the MVVBP. Somebody read this for me, our mission. This is our mission at KW.
Mission to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving.
Awesome, thanks. It seemed like something that each of you guys would want. And this is our belief system, also part of our culture. We call it the Y, 4 C's, 2 T's. Win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication. We always seek first to understand, and creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success is results through people. We talked a little bit about this. I'd encourage all of you guys to set it up automatically when you set up your accounts. If you haven't yet, you can set it up to automatically donate. And the recommended donation is $30. You can always do more, but through KW Cares, and that helps directly people in our office, and we never know when it's going to be one of us or one of our families. So I think it's a good thing, even karma-wise, to donate. Any thoughts on culture? Any ahas so far for today? Sure.
About like reaching out to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not from here. Like I just moved here a couple of years ago, so I don't know a lot of people. So I have been reaching out, but like a lot of people I know are from working at Delta. Like, what is your thoughts on like how to, I guess, like get business when you don't really know a lot of people, when you don't have like a really big sphere?
It's a great question. I'll repeat it just because you didn't have the mic. But so your question is, how do you get more business? You're not from here. Most of the people you know, you work at, or you know from working at Delta, and you don't have really a big sphere of influence here. Is that kind of the question? Cool. You guys have ideas? How can somebody get business going if they don't know anybody here and we're such?
I've lived here for a while and I have college friends, but I'm also not. But I do know that you can do business outside of the state. I do referrals to some people in his
Cool, and all of us can do that, right? We can send referrals outside of the state. Where are you from, Nicole? Cool. Do you still have some people there that you know, a fairly big SOI? Do you know what I mean when I say SOI? Sphere of influence? Yeah, okay.
How do you refer them to people you don't know? Would you just refer them to someone who's like?
I can show you. So on Kammon, we have the coolest, and we'll get back to your original question, but all of us can do that, right? I'm from North Carolina originally. I can send referrals. I've sent them to Texas. I've sent them to Florida, all over, just because I have clients here that were moving, and I send the referral. So in Kammon, there's a place that you can go, and anyway, you can view a map and you can zone in on an area where they want to be a city, and you can filter by who's done deals there, like who's done buys, who's done sells, You can there's all kinds of ways to filter, kind of tricky to explain without having it up, but I can show you on command. But through command, you can refer people directly, and that makes it super easy. You can even put the percentage of the referral rate, like, hey, it's 25%, or this one's 30%, or whatever you want it to be. So, and you can send that, you can do your research, you can call them, you can do it based just on their numbers, however you want to do it. I like to look at their numbers, see who's kind of qualified to help, who's done at least over, X amount of deals. And then I call 2 or 3 of them and kind of interview them and get a feel to feel like who would work best for my client. But back to your original question, anybody know how Nicole can get more deals, can start getting deals here without knowing many people?
There's a ton that are just realtors networking with the community. That is one realtor that goes to like every month in Lehigh, and they all network with the businesses just to get a name out because you're marketing yourself.
Maybe like a BNI.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So there are actually lots of different ways. There are, say somebody has, like I have an open house this weekend. It's listed at $1,075,000. I can't be there, so I've got to find somebody to do an open house for me this weekend in South Jordan. And that happens all the time, right? Not just my open house this weekend, but so many people have an open house, or maybe it's the second open house or whatever. Not yet.
So I saw some post about it.
So one way, at least that I think is a good way to get clients here, especially not knowing many people, is to do as many open houses as you can. You'll have people walking through the doors, and as you help them get what they want, see the house, and you're kind and cordial, and you ask the right questions, you'll be able to get their contact info. Some of them will have agents, and that'll just be a chance to connect with an agent. But a lot of times people don't have agents at open houses, and that's why they're going. They're like, oh, they either don't have an agent at all, and they're like, hey, I can finally get into some houses, and they'll line several up. Go ahead. Well, it's so super easy. You get there, open the door, and you stand and greet people. Like, really and truly, it's super simple. I mean, you could get balloons, you could put up signs. There's all kinds of extra things that you could do, but people will know the address. Everybody has Google Maps or iPhones with iMaps, whatever they're called. I don't have an iPhone, but everybody will know the address. You can, and the agent who's listing it is will actually be advertising for you to step in and do it. An open house is probably the easiest thing to do. People way overthink it. Oh, I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to do it because I don't know how to do it. Super easy. You just open the door. Do you have access to the super keys yet? That would be the big thing. So we'll need to get you access if you don't have it yet. You may already have it, but get access to the lock boxes. They're called super boxes. And you probably need to call down to UCAR, and you may need to go down there in person so they can activate it on your phone or give you the PIN number for it. But once that's activated, we can practice it with, I got some lock boxes, or anybody here will. You can practice open it and see how it works. Once you can do that, you're in. Like, you can do an open house. And you can take some sheets and look at it and walk around early before people get there, get a feel of the house, and they're going to ask, how many bedrooms? How big is this property? And you're already going to have the information right. Oh, let me tell. Oh yeah, there's 6 bedrooms. Oh yeah, there's.
They're that obviously the listing agent. So if you have people coming to look at the house that don't have an agent, you could technically, like, if they want to, if they liked you, you could sign agency with them and not be with them, and it would be like coaching, I guess.
Nope. Well, and it all depends on the listing agent. There was an agent here that basically said, I'm good with anybody taking any lead they get in an open house, right? I know that's going to happen if I don't go do it myself. We did have an agent that said, hey, anything you get out of this, it's 25% referral fee, or you kind of had to agree to something. I think most agents don't do that. So yes, it's not considered poaching. It's considered being a good resource for those people that come in without an agent because they need some help. Hi, John.
Or does it have to be a Keller Williams?
Has to be within our brokerage because of the new laws and rules. It has to be within our brokerage. So people at very small brokerages with limited resources, man, they have a tough time doing open houses. One of them called me and said, oh, I really want to do this open house. I called, and anyway, some brokerages are having problems with that because of the new laws. But yeah, anybody in our brokerage can do that.
It's a physical, yeah.
Like, my neighbor is for sale by owner,
Hmm.
but can I say I'll do a open house for you because they're not having fun?
Yeah, and you can double check with Dean. I don't think that's changed at all. We've always been able to go in and do those and understand that we don't have representation with them. We're doing it because we're a neighbor and a friend, and we're actually doing it to try to pick up buyer clients. But just know if somebody comes and writes a contract, they may not include you. But yeah, I would definitely double check with Dean on it. That's a good question because I haven't done one of those in a while. We were always able to before the laws changed, and I'm hesitant to just say yes. I think so. We were always able to before, but we probably ought to double check with Dean on that one.
At this class. All that. There's like, maybe do it once a month. And then right after you do your super Q, you'll have it. Yeah.
And you can call me UCAR and they can verify that and they can give you the time of the next class.
Yeah, I've been to two classes that are the new agent one and then I did the code of ethics as well.
Oh, nice. So you've already done it. Yeah, I would probably like head over there today or call them and before you head over, make sure that you need to be in person and get that access to the super key. Because agents will also have, buyers that they're just not able to get out with. They may have two sets of buyers that want to go out at the same time. They may be on vacation and they'll pay X amount per door or for, this time to go show homes. And that might be a great way to get your feet wet too, to get out and show homes for somebody. But we only answered part of your question, right? You wanted to know how to get more clients here.
Time, like get like hands-on
Mhm.
knowledge, but I'm just scared because I'm like, what if they ask me questions that I don't know the answer to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get back with you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. John's exactly right. If I don't know, I don't make something up. Let me check on that for you. Are there any particular questions you're worried about? Or you're just thinking, oh, they're going to throw something at me? Yep, yep. I know the feeling.
That
So another way, I don't know what you're interested in or what you're involved in. I don't know if you have kids, but people that do get involved with schools, you can get involved with community stuff like B&I. You could, I mean, there are lots of ways to just get involved in your community. You could go around to businesses and start shooting some YouTube videos, social media. Do you have social media? Do you do much of that? Have you ever posted anything? Nice, good job.
let individual people know that I'm a realtor.
Mhm.
Big, like an official post of, hey guys, if you're new, like, if you're a realtor, if you or you know anyone who needs services, like you can always message me and stuff like that. But other than that, I haven't really posted about a lot of them when I was just like getting.
Gotcha. I think consistently would be really cool. And you don't need your own listings to post them. You can use your KW site, you can get permission, you can post other listings, and all of a sudden people are gonna be like, oh, Nicole seems to, know a lot, and your friends from California are gonna know people here. You know what I do when I get stumped on something like this? I do have some more ideas, but I'm kind of curious to see what it'll say. This is ChatGPT. My friend Nicole is a new agent here in Utah, and she's originally from California, and she is curious how to get more clients and build a sphere of influence here in Utah. We discussed open houses and possibly being more involved in the community. Can you give me specifics on what she can do and how she can have more clients and make more contacts and have more friends here and do more real estate business? So that was probably a dumb prompt, but you can actually tell ChatGPT what you want and say, can you make up a prompt for that? And it will. For time's sake, I'll run through it and do my home prompt, which I find they're never really as good as his prompts. Have you guys used ChatGPT a whole lot? I use it all the time. Nicole can take several specific steps to build her share of influence. Leverage open houses was the first thing. Host multiple, promote it heavily on social media. We talked about that. Collect contact info from people. Network and get involved in the community. Leverage social media for branding. Build a referral network. Tap into California connections. Anyway, you see the point. We can, and it's going down and listing several more things. Partner with local businesses. I was just going to say too. It goes through that. Anyway, so there are all kinds of strategies. We just need to sit down either with, I don't know, you can use Chat GPT, you can talk to some agents, get ideas, and then once you have a strategy, you can kind of implement that. We talked about using systems, right? So that's what I would do to start, get business now. And for open houses, I personally, some people are uncomfortable with it. I like to knock doors. Let me rephrase that. I knock doors because I know I can get more business and get more contacts. I don't necessarily like it, but if I print up a bunch of flyers, I'm doing an open house anyway, right? I'm gonna go sit out there for 2 hours. I don't want it to be a waste of my time. So if I take 2 hours beforehand, maybe on Friday, the day before, and I go to the neighborhood, it's super easy. You can go up and, hey, do you know your friends or whatever? You know your neighbors. They're doing an open house. I wanted to personally invite you. You know, my name's Nicole, and as you chat, if they're really friendly and want to chat, great. And you happen to know anybody else that's looking to sell in the neighborhood or whatever, buy or sell real estate, and you can actually just ask them, and they may be like, no, not right now. Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to think about it. Hope to see you at the open house. Super easy and it's genuine. You go on to the next house, and if you can knock 50 to 100 doors, then all of a sudden you made a whole bunch of contacts, and some people will give you their info if you ask for it. Go ahead.
I mean, it's something, and I didn't really like either, but did anyways. And I recognize the pitch that you gave. It's more so just trying to convince them for something, right? So how does that differ from like pitching a real estate versus like message?
Let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not an expert on knocking doors. I've only done it on certain occasions. And where you're going in with satellites or alarms, or you did pest control, you're at the end of it, you're trying to have a contract signed. You can go in loose and easy, knowing that that's not the case here. Your goal, hopefully, is to get contact information, because if you can get contact information, you can ultimately build your database, and you're going to have future clients, right? And if you can go in and have, really what you're trying to do is just build some kind of rapport and relationship and invite them to an open house. Again, you're giving value. You're inviting them to something. Hey, by the way, I'm going to have crumble cookies or whatever it is that you want to do for your open house. I told you you just had to show up. Well, there are a couple other things you can do to make it more fun, right? You could buy a box of crumble cookies. But as you're going and approaching doors that way, you can, I mean, it's really just to build some kind of relationship, build rapport. I still, because I'm a bigger guy, I don't stand up next to the door. I do like, you know, doing door-to-door sales, and I kind of step back and turn to the side. Oh, hey, how are you? I'll even lean back or step back when they answer the door so they feel like it's less threatening, and just chat with them. Hey, just stopping by to give you a flyer. Your neighbor, I don't know if you know these guys. You guys did that in pest control. You're probably like, oh, so-and-so, the Smiths, they bought. Did you happen to know about that? We don't want to push bugs around. Anyway, there's all kinds of tactics, but your goal is to make and create relationships.
How many clients you say you've got?
From the limited times that I've been, I've gotten a few. I wish I could quantify it for you. I truly have only knocked maybe 4 different occasions in the last 5 years or something. I've done more Facebook marketing, so I don't go in and purposefully do it right now, to be totally honest, and I haven't for a little while. So go ahead.
That would be intimidating for me to invite, but what would be easy for me to say to somebody if I was door knocking? I would just say, hey, I know you would probably love to choose your neighbor. Maybe you know someone that wants to move into the neighborhood.
That's a great script. Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, then they'll start thinking, oh yeah, you know, maybe I could get this person to move here. I mean, my brother's next door neighbor went up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so he contacted my other brother and said, hey, this is for sale. You should come buy it. And that's what ended up happening. The lead just came because someone said this. And if you, there's going to be tons of people that know a friend that's not even thinking about moving. And they're going to say, oh, you should come check out this house.
If you plan to knock doors, I would write that one down. That was in the gold nugget for sure.
Also,
Please do.
I was doing an appraisal once when you talked about you're afraid that they'll have questions that you don't ask. I remember someone was talking to me and they said, yeah, we decided to do this with pop top and all, and they just kept going. And I go, whoa, I gotta stop you. I go, I don't know what a pop top is. You gotta explain that to me. And she was just kind of like, oh, wow. And she stopped and she said, a pop top is when you buy a 1-story home and you spend a ton of money turning it into a 2-story home. Pop top. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And she had so much respect for me that I had the confidence to ask a question when I didn't know what it was. And then she knew the rest of the conversation that I understood, because I would ask the question if I didn't understand.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. So, and by the way, I love that script, and I didn't think of it just now, so that's great. You want to choose your neighbor. That's a really good one. And I think the stat last time I heard could have changed that 40% of people that buy a home are referred or know somebody that lives in that neighborhood. So it's another great strategy just for a listing for your clients once you have a listing. And if there is somebody else that's looking to list there, do you think they'll see that effort of you? They obviously see an agent like going around and knocking doors. When's the last time a real estate agent knocked on any of your doors? Do you even remember? Have you ever had it happen? Yeah, which is totally fine. I always answer, especially if I see it's a sales guy, because I've done some door-to-door sales, and it's, I don't know, it's fun to get over and talk to them. And I know what they do is hard, so I always invite them in anyway, personally. But cool. Well, there's lots of ideas on ChatGPT if none of these work for you, but I would figure out what ways you can get involved in your community, what ways you can connect with businesses, ways to do open houses. And your friends from Delta might be another great way to connect. If you figure out they all live in Utah, right? They're working in Utah, so those are all good connections already. So hold on. If somebody owns a house, does that mean they're not looking to buy? So this is what we call, this is a good example though, right? And not to pick on you, but that's a good example of a limiting belief, right? Oh, they have a house. There's no way they're going to buy. Right? We kind of tell ourselves stories of who's buying and who's not. No, yeah, I don't actually see anybody here that would buy. So yeah, I'm not going to talk to them. Right? But instead, if you think, well, that's awesome, they own a home, and when are they going to try to switch into another home? I owned a home and we just sold it, and now we're buying another home. Right? I mean, it happens all the time, roughly every like 5 years, 5 to 7 years. So people are doing that all the time. And if you're friends with them or as you get to know them, they may have a son or daughter that's going to buy. They may have a cousin or a nephew. It's about making the connection, right? And having them know that you're in real estate. Nice.
A lot of, that I have reached out to are like, a lot of people are waiting for the interest rates to drop. So, yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation how you can tackle that, but we'll move on. Good job for talking to them. That's awesome that you're already making steps towards it. There's a whole bunch of awards, blah, blah, blah. Keller Williams is the best at everything. Leave it at that. Sorry, I don't mean to be so facetious. There is lots and lots of training and coaching, which is one of the reasons that I came to Keller Williams. I love to learn new things. I really do. I love to figure things out. I want to be a student of real estate. I want to know all the things I can know, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So I'm probably way behind somebody like John, especially on the number side and appraisal stuff. So it's fun to have somebody now like John in here that we can rely on to help us with some of that stuff. And there are all kinds of agents in this office that specialize in different things. When the market was different with foreclosures, we had agents that specialize in short sales and foreclosures. If it ever gets back to that, you'll have a ton of resources. We have Family Reunion, we have Ignite, we've got KW University, all kinds of ways to learn. And Bold will be an awesome class. It's a little bit more advanced, but man, it's so good. I'd say sometime within the next year, if it ever comes to Utah, I would jump into Bold and take it for sure. And the technology, they've been building this out. We were told years ago, right, that it was just going to be cutting edge, but then we had lots of glitches. So they've dumped, can't remember what the number was, over $1 billion, I think, into all the tech. We were going to become like a tech company. And then we kind of shifted and changed the vision because we saw how expensive that was getting. So now we've hired some of the stuff out, and Kammon has gotten really good, really intuitive to use. I don't know if you guys are starting to use it yet, but I think it's one of the best systems out there. I do everything. Kammon has an opportunities tab, and I can go in and see the projections of all the deals that I have under contract. If there's an X percentage, that they'll close, like this is the possible income and this is the probable income. Like it just spits all those numbers out for you, so you have an idea with what's in your pipeline of how much you're going to make. So, and obviously contacts. And have you guys set up any automated emails or anything yet? They're so cool. They send out property valuations and all kinds of stuff. It's one of those things you can set it and forget it. And I love that kind of marketing. So anyway, come in I know we have all kinds of little classes, and online, if you get a KW, there's all kinds of little classes that they'll do to teach you kind of the basics of how to set it up and how to add clients, whether it's from an Excel sheet or from a different marketing system, or how to just start creating clients in there. It's really, really cool. And then there's even an app for it. And as Shoney, our team lead, he uses the app, and I started using it too. It'll actually say, like, you can have tasks, you can set up tasks for yourself to keep yourself accountable, and it'll show you ones that are due soon or past due, whatever, and they show up in different colors. It actually shows whose birthday is coming up. This one, I think, shows 5 birthdays, 1 today, and then 5 in the next little while. Anyway, Shoney was like, yeah, they're super impressed when you call them actually ahead of time for their birthday. So now I click on the birthday thing, and anyway, call them ahead of time. Hey, I saw your birthday's coming up on Wednesday. I had it on my calendar. And then it's not like, oh, they just saw it on Facebook, right? Had your birthday on my calendar, wanted to call ahead of time. I've got a pretty busy day that day, but you're important to me. I wanted to call and wish you a happy birthday. I know it's a couple days early or whatever. I didn't read through this, so I'm going to skip it. And I guess they were supposed to, or I was supposed to change the slide and we didn't, so we don't have all our stuff up there. Do you guys know about profit share? Do you know what that is? Anybody know what it is? For $100? Shoot, I wanted to give away $100. So profit share is as our market center. If you invite somebody to KW, they ended up joining and they put you down as kind of their sponsor, so to speak. I've invited Courtney, and she brought her husband Ben, and I've invited other people to brokerage. And as they go out and do deals, and our brokerage is profitable, we have profit share. They share with the agents. It's one of the companies that I think one of the few companies that does that. There's some other companies later that tried to copy and come up with other strategies, but KW's had profit share for a long time. Gary Keller sat down with some of the top minds in real estate and said, what do you want? What would you need? What would make you never leave a brokerage? Love it so much that, this would be it. And this is one of the ideas that they had. So since then, they've always shared profits. So I'll get a check every now and then when they've closed some deals and the brokerage is profitable. They already have a percentage set aside that they're going to share with the agents of the brokerage based on the deals. So that's what the profit share is. And obviously there's no financial risk with it. There's no legal risk, no down payment, no phone calls. Once somebody's here with the brokerage and they're under your name, they're always under your name. So as long as they're here with the brokerage, and there is profit share that can be made from that. So just kind of a cool added bonus. Any other questions or ahas? We're getting close to the end. What time? 10:44. Okay, here's some of our resources. I personally don't use Keller Mortgage anymore. I have a couple times. It actually worked okay. But I don't know. You'll probably have some lenders that you'll make relationships and build relationships here with. My lender's given me a couple of referrals that have now closed. And so you'll have relationships like that. So you may or may not use some of these. Keller Offers is cool because if somebody has to get out of their house and they have to sell immediately and there's just no time's not on their side, maybe it's a foreclosure, maybe they've got to move and they just don't want to, they'll make a little bit lower offer, probably the market value, but you can submit it to Keller Offers and get them like a cash offer. So there are some cool tools inside of KWX companies. And there are all kinds of communities. I think most of them are an extra cost, but if you want to be part of like KW luxury or land or commercial, there's a fee to be a part of that, but then it has its own training and its own community within KW. So. Somebody want to help read through this? Maybe one of you can read the first part and one of you can read the next part. Carry the mics next to you so you can either pass it or you can read. Okay, hold on.
Today,
Everybody knows what we're doing here, right? We're trying to have a little bit of a vision and talk now as if we're already in the future of what's going to happen and how we see it.
so today is March 3rd, 2026.
Love it.
Your business is thriving and your life is everything you've dreamed of. Your customers have rave about the experience and value you provide and think of you when they have a real estate need. Your family and friends are so proud of your success and are consistently referring business your way. You are helping others live their dream of owning a home because you are focused on helping them get what they desire. You are building the foundation and momentum for your entire career and gaining relationships and experiences and the income you desire. You are the top agent at your market center or rookie of the year if you're new. You are poised to hire a part-time assistant to handle your 80% while you take care of the 20% that grows your business. You are on the path to
Awesome. And then whatever your goal is, right? Think
retirement.
of what your goal may be, fill in whatever it is that you want to do. Do you guys think it's important, mindset, the way we started off each day? Like, how important do you feel like it is? Scale of 1 to 10.
Probably 9 or 10. Because if you think about, like, if you wake up and you're like, oh, today's gonna be a crappy day, then it's gonna be a crappy day. But if you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a good day, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get stuff done around the house, that just sets you up for positivity for like the rest of your day. So it's kind of like the same thing for like a year, or just like you set yourself goals, and as long as you stay positive and work towards those goals, they will be set.
I love it. Heather Groom that did, oh gosh, just over $1 million in commissions last year. She said she used to always have like a task list for the day. And by the way, I agree with you 100%. I think that's amazing. I feel like there's some days like that I start out a little bit of a funk. Maybe like today, I was literally going to finish looking through some of the notes for this class, and I thought, man, I'm going to get some of my wife's homemade jam. She hasn't made it very often, but we had some of this homemade strawberry jam in there, and I threw in a couple of Eggo waffles. Got back from the gym, was like, okay, I'm gonna eat some of these and then kind of finish up studying, and I'll leave. Well, I grabbed the jam. My hand was just a little bit wet, and that glass bottle started to slip right as I got next to the counter. And I could feel it slipping, so I'm like, oh, I'll just quickly set it down. And it slipped a little bit early. I swear it was only an inch from the counter, maybe 3 inches, who knows? Maybe it was 5. I have no idea. But that glass bottle shattered, and red jam went down my cabinets onto the floor, glass on the counter. It was everywhere. The bottle was 3/4 of the way full, and it was a big bottle, one of those ginormous ones. So obviously things didn't turn out the way that I planned this morning, right? And ended up being a little bit late. It was a ton to clean up. I could not believe how much jam got everywhere. And my kids run around without shoes, so I was vacuuming everywhere with our little vacuum, our shark, trying to make sure there weren't little glass shards everywhere. Anyway, morning went totally different. So what do I need to do to get in a different mindset before I start connecting with clients and before I came to class? Had to take some deep breaths, right? And get in the mindset of, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be an incredible day. People want to talk to me. I do some affirmations or whatever I need to do. But that's going to be the story of your life, right? Things are always going to come up or something's going to happen. And you're going to have to figure out how to get in the right mindset. You're going to have to figure out how to focus on the task at hand and create a success list like Heather Groom does and focus on the most important things first, which is 20%. That 20%, the most important things are going to produce 80% of the income. So you want to have a success list and not just a task list that you go through one at a time. If you're going to have a task list, put the most important successful things first on that list, like lead generation, whether it's posting on social media, whether it's knocking doors, whatever it is. Do some of that stuff first and then go with your normal task. Most people that are pretty dedicated to that stuff in the business block like say 9 to 11 if they're going to just do 2 hours. If they're going to do more time, they suggest 4 hours as you're new in the business to lead generate and make connections, create relationships. I think a lot of agents do 2 hours, and it's usually around that 9 to 11, which is one of the best times of the day to call people. The next best time I hear is, I think Johnny said was around 6 p.m. at night. But by then you're a little bit depleted. A lot of things have happened. If you have a family, everybody's home. Like it's more of a struggle, at least for me, to try to do things late. I've done it before, but I like it so much better when it's in the morning, say 9 to 11. So if you can dedicate and block time in your calendar to set aside that time for lead generation, I think that would be the time to do it. So I'm assuming this is, and like I said, I didn't finish the last part of these slides because of my little mishap this morning, but I'm assuming this is thinking of what you can do with the money that you make. Say somebody makes $364,000. There's all kinds of things they can do with it. Money isn't inherently good just because it's money, but it's fantastic for the good that you can do with it. And I can't remember the exact quote from Gary Keller, but he talks about having a big life and not having a big life to be greedy and just to make money. People sometimes worry and have all these different perceptions about money, like, oh, it's the root of all evil. Well, not necessarily. The love of it may be to hoard it and keep it all for yourself, but money can do many amazing things. So if you're able to get in, and as you're able to get in and make more money, you'll be able to do more good. There's a lot of good you can do with it. So to achieve success, you need motivation and inspiration for doing it, and your big why. So have any of you guys thought about your big why? It's something you're going to want to give it some thought. Like, in order to show up every day, real estate isn't necessarily easy, but the process really is simple. Like, it is really kind of a simple business when you break it down to the nuts and bolts. Hey, you need to lead generate, you need to contact people, you need to get deals, and then get them through the transaction process. And a transaction coordinator can really help with getting through the process. You'll learn some things along the way. You'll have some missteps, but it'll all go back to your big why. Like, why are you doing this? What's your real purpose? What's your real motivation? So as you're thinking about things, I would, in setting goals, before you set your goals, I would try to come up with your big why. Like, what's the whole purpose in doing this? Is it just to get a job? Is it just to get by? Is it to make some extra bucks on the side? If that's the case, that's probably all it's ever going to be. But if you have a big why and you really have big intentions and you want to live a big life, you can do that, but it'll all come back to your why. Because when things get tricky or you're feeling unmotivated or maybe a deal falls apart and it was the day before closing, like I had one time, it was only a $10,000 deal, but still $10,000, right? And I was newer to the business, and the day before closing, the husband and wife decide they're getting a divorce because the husband's cheating. Crazy, crazy stuff, right? And that, I haven't ever seen that again, but when things get tricky or get weird, you got to go back to your big why. Why are you doing this? This tells where your dollars are going to go. Your market center, the other agent, business expenses, taxes, and then you finally get your take home after paying everything else out. Oh, it's showing how your dollar is divided up. Fantastic. So this is an example. If you got your net income at 100,000, who said they thought maybe 100,000 was tricky? That sounded difficult. Can I share something real quick? It's not part of this, but I can tell you as I sat down, I was working at Highway, right? I think I told you at the time. And I think, part-time, I think I only did like 60 grand or something my second year. And this guy sat me down. He was a lender, one of my broker's buddies. And he said, what would it take to get you to leave and just do this thing full time? And I thought about it for a second and I thought, 200 grand? And I was just kind of throwing out a big number. I thought it just was kind of, like it'd have to be big, right? And he kind of goes, he smiled and kind of put his head down. He goes, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult do you think it would be to do 200 grand? Which, by the way, this guy had done over $1 million a year. And I thought about it and I said, I probably thought it was like an 8 or a 9, but I think I said 7 because I didn't want him to see that I was so intimidated by that number. So I was like, 7? And then I was like, well, maybe an 8. And he kind of smiled again. He said, what if I told you it was like a 3? Like, and after you've done it once, maybe a 2 or a 1. That didn't sit right with me. I thought, are you serious? He's like, to do it the first time, maybe a 3 or 4, maybe. And I was like, wow, all of a sudden my perspective started to change. And I thought, oh, so 200,000 isn't that tough. Like that's not that as big as I was thinking it was. Like anyway, it kind of shifted my mindset. I think 100,000 is a good goal. And I think that's always what people come in with, it's always like, for some reason, 100,000 is the mark, but maybe even change your way of thinking or change your perspective on it and know that, lots of people on that wall do lots more. There's several of them that have done, some of the teams that do well over 1 million, some of the solo agents that do 400,000 and 500,000, one of those that did over 1 million last year. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in real estate. And if you are all about connections and people and creating relationships, you'll make more than the person that's just focusing on sales. Excuse me. Anyway, so and the whole purpose of this sheet, I think, is so that you can understand if you have a certain amount that you want to make. Say it's $200,000. This one gives the example of 100,000. Just know exactly what you're going to pay your company dollar in royalty. It's actually only 18. This gives the example $30,000. I think royalty is 3,000, and then the company dollar is 15. Think of whatever business expenses. Mine are way lower than that because I run pretty lean on my business. I'm actually trying to spend more money on events and my business stuff this year. And then it'll give you your GC, oh, sorry, this is net income goal. Total income was 180,000, but you figure out what your net income goal is and then what your expenses will be, and you can actually calculate it backwards too, and how your average transaction and how many transactions you need to hit that income goal. Anybody have any big goals before I skip past it? That you want to do in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years? Any goals? Any goals anybody wants to share? Sure. Oh, nice. Some cafes. Cool. Nice. Do you have a dollar amount that you know you'd have to make in real estate to make that happen? So cafes may be more of your big why, the whole purpose reason that you're doing this. Nice. Ooh, that's a big why. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Like I have, like I can't put my money where I want to, it just like all goes to shit. So like, I think that's my big why is I want to be successful. And we want to have like the flexibility of hours. I eventually like want to start a family and start having kids because we don't have kids yet. And just make like a better life for myself. I'm tired of always having to stress about money and like paying these bills and paying that bills and not that. Like I just want to have like freedom and be, now that I know how to be responsible with my money, after I get that debt paid off, I know how to like not get myself in that position again.
That's awesome. It's awesome. So it sounds like we need clarity around our goals and our big why. And at first you said it was just paying off debt, right? But your real goal sounded more like freedom to me from what you said. That's awesome. It's a great goal. Any other ahas? Let me see. I think that, oh no, we do have one more. Any other ahas up to this point? Told you guys we'd be done. It's already 11. Sorry, we're running behind. I talk too much. So here is really the meat and potatoes, if I can call it that, of what we're doing today. This is a success system that you'll want to do. You'll actually want to take action on all these items. And it's really not complicated, right? I told you it was simple. It doesn't mean it's super easy, but it's not hard. It's really not. Riley, I think upstairs, I could not believe like how how systematic he was when he came in and started doing these. And he shot up to one of the top agents, like within a pretty short period of time. He'd done some car sales and stuff and knew how to talk to people, but he had zero real estate experience, he said. But he wrote 10 handwritten notes every single day. Saw a stack of cards. He went and bought a couple hundred cards, and he would sit and write handwritten notes. He'd always do 10. He'd always follow this, did 10 handwritten notes. He was always finding a way to add contacts. Who do you know? And obviously having the conversations will get you those contacts. And when you have the conversations, he wasn't writing them just to random people. He'd have conversations with people and we'd get contacts, and then he'd write thank you notes to them. Hey, thanks for taking my call the other day. It was really good to catch up with you, whatever it was that, you know, he wanted to write. And 10-5-1 social media engagement. Any idea what that means? 10 likes on different posts, 5 comments, and then 1 post. And that helps with the algorithms as you're commenting on other people's stuff. And I don't know if it's still at least 4 words or more. It used to be that. I don't know what the algorithm is now. But as you're commenting on other people's posts, it will put your post a little higher in the queue when you post something, right? Because it's showing that you two are engaged, that you're in a relationship, that you know each other when you're constantly commenting. So if you can make it a goal not to get stuck in social media world and end up spending hours, but if you can set a timer or set, you know, that goal before you go in there, because some people get in and they, like me, and just get stuck, and all of a sudden it's 30 minutes and, oh yeah, I liked a couple of posts, but wait, what was I doing? So I actually have to like write the time down and the time I'm going to end. This is what the whole purpose of this little book that I carry around. I actually have to, and I just started doing it, but I have to write an account for my minutes because I can put stuff in the calendar. But if I've got this right there, I'll see like where time's wasted, like, oh crap, you know, I went 20 minutes longer or whatever. But if I keep track of my stuff, then it helps me be accountable for my time. And they obviously you don't want to call people that are on the do not call list. There are big fines for that, and we want to stay away from that. And there's a whole warning, you can read all about it, but Keller Williams always encourages you not to call people that are on a do not call list or that you don't have any association with. Does that mean you can't call FISBOs?
They say on it, no, this one probably shouldn't call. Yeah.
Okay. And I would still call personally, because that doesn't put them on a do not call list. Once they've personally, that's just my feeling. You may be right. You may not call those, and that's fine.
I got at least 10 calls, and I put on there real big, do not call me, you're looking amazing, still got 10 calls.
Yeah. And the reason I think is because when people put thing down as a FISBO for sell by owner, they're essentially raising their hand. Anybody can call me now, right? I have publicly posted my number, and if it's like that, publicly posted. Of course, if you have a conversation, they're like, don't call me back. We probably shouldn't hound them. And then, you know, we're going to be in trouble. It's not how we're going to create a relationship. But there are people that you can call that have raised their hand, and one of those is for sell by owners and any of your SOI, unless they change their mind and don't want to talk to you. Somebody read through this for me, since I've been doing all the talking.
Lead generate, uncover motivations, identify objections, close deals, speak in terms the customer understands, and build confidence.
Cool. So we've got to lead generate in order to get deals, right? It has to happen, whether it's through referrals, whether it's through open houses, whether it's through Facebook, whatever it is, whether it's through Zillow, whatever your choice of lead generation is, you got to figure out what you'll do, what you're willing to do. If you're not going to pick up the phone, you absolutely know you're not going to, start sending texts. If you know that, you know, you're good in front of people and you'd rather have a conversation in person, start doing pop-bys. People do treats for Valentine's Day, for all kinds of reasons, or just because. Stop by their house and, hey, I had cookies, wanted to drop them off, just dropping them off to my friends and clients, and you know, you can stand and have a conversation. Of course, they're going to be interested, and everybody loves to receive something. So there's all kinds of ways you can have these conversations and lead generate. But the point is, you've got to lead generate, and you've got to continually build your database. That's where most of your deals are going to come from. And as you talk to people, you've got to figure out when they say or raise their hand, they want to buy or sell, what their motivations are. Just like you have a big why, they do too. And the quicker you can uncover that, the more effective you'll be in your conversations with them. And obviously some of those things will lead to objections. And that's where we'll get into objection handlers and scripts and things that you'll learn along the way. And that's why we suggest doing role play. Has anybody done role play yet? Which, by the way, this class has been totally different for me. It's a lot of the other classes we've done, we do role play and all kinds of stuff. This one, I feel like we're just giving you the stuff, but it really is so fun because you can screw up and fall flat on your face and nobody cares because we all do it. And sometimes it gets people feel embarrassed in front of a class like this. But if you get two of you and you partner up and say, hey, let's role play, give a scenario like, okay, hey, I'm calling you. And for Kara, like, Kara, you're a friend I haven't talked to for a long time. And you're going to either think that somebody's dead or that I'm selling something, right? At least that's what I'm thinking. And we can role play that and see how it turns out. And I may screw it up or I may be like, hang on, let's redo that, right? And that's the perfect time for it. So I would encourage you to do some form of role play for calls, for contacts, whatever you want to do. And then you can obviously do them for listing appointments and for buyers, whatever, buyer consultation. But as you start to practice and role play, that kind of stuff really builds confidence. And we'll want to stay away from some of the real estate jargon so that, they're not going to know necessarily what some of our terms are. So this could be an open house conversation, right? Go ahead and look around. Please let me know if I can help you. I see you're admiring the big screen TV. Are you looking to get one for the big game this weekend? Or somebody working at Costco. I don't know. This sounds like a store to me. Did you find? And there was one Nordstrom's. Oh, they had some examples on another one. So I have no idea what this one's from. Did you find everything you're looking for? Go ahead and look around. Please let me know if I can help you. I see you're admiring that. And it's just a way, I think it shows a way somebody's trying to get in and have purpose to a conversation, right? So as you're adding people into Command, you want to know how to label them. And you're going to want to label people like, hey, family. You can create tags in Command if you don't know. You can create tags. I have VIP. I have spot, sold. All these people that I invite to these different events, I can go into my Command and I can filter like bought, sold, VIP, buyer, seller, whatever, if I want to invite all the top people for me. And VIP for me is somebody that's referred somebody to me because that's more valuable than just even a buyer or seller to me. So somebody that's willing to refer. So you can go in and create all that stuff in your Command. And the way that and you can even create SOI, right, in your Command just as a tag or sphere. And the way they define that, the way we define it at Keller Williams, is people you have met in one way, shape, or form. You know them, and if asked, they would say that they know you, right? That's somebody in your sphere. Doesn't have to be a super close friend, but somebody that you know. This is what we talked about. They say 7 to 10 years. Last time I looked, it was actually 5 to 7. Maybe it's changed now because of rates. I don't know. It says every 7 to 10 years. When do we want to catch people on this? If the likelihood of the move is right here, where do we want to catch them on this? It's a trick question, by the way. Yeah, we definitely want to catch them here. This is the low-hanging fruit. And I would tell you, if they're part of your SOI, you want to catch them anywhere. It doesn't matter. Maybe they've just used an agent. Maybe they closed on a place. Now, guess what? You get to be a friend. Oh my gosh, how do you like your new place? Can I come over and take a look? Whatever. Now you're their friend. And guess what? You're probably going to be their next agent. If you keep that up and you follow them through this and stay in touch, invite them to events, you truly build a connection, a relationship, you're going to be the person that they want to use. So I would say anywhere in this is a good place to start and make contact. Obviously, it's fantastic if they call you right before the move and it's a little lower hanging fruit. That's easy, and you're going to get a deal that way. Fantastic. But anywhere along that way is an okay time to make contact and build relationships. So forward is a script that you can use when you're calling people, and it makes it easy. If you ever forget about what you're going to say, you can write forward down, or you can write these things down. You can always ask them about their family, how's work going, their recreation, anything they do for fun, and dreams. I don't always get into dreams, but sometimes I do. Hey, when you guys were talking about taking that vacation or whatever. Anyway, it's an easy way just to call and talk to people. If you're not sure what to say, you can use the forward script. Has anybody's thinking changed, or what mindsets were new for you today? Maybe your thinking hasn't changed. Maybe you haven't learned anything. I'm not the least bit offended. First time teaching this. Has anybody had a thinking change or any new ideas or mindsets? Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. For you. You guys feel differently about anything today, or what was meaningful to you? I'm asking 2 questions on number 2 there. What do you feel differently about? Anything? Was there anything that was particularly meaningful to you?
Maybe learning that is the foundation to gain confidence.
Awesome. Very cool. Is there anything that you guys will change or what actions you'll take after today? And actually, you know what? I was thinking it was in a different journal. It was Dr. Craig Manning. That's why I got this journal at that thing. We got all kinds of notes on it, but it was Craig Manning. Man, he is fantastic. He wrote a book on it. So good. Anybody plan to take any action today? Nice. Good call. Any of you use Command yet? Are you planning to? It kind of is when you first jump into it, huh? You can do a lot with it. There are a few basic things though that you can start with, like the opportunities tab and the contacts tab. And if you can just figure out how to add contacts and then create smart plans, awesome. I think you started in the right place. No, you're good. You're good. Any other ahas from today? If not, we'll be done. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys being here.